Hello and welcome to Heroes and Generals Devstream number 45, live from Copenhagen. With me I have Reto Redbjarne, game director, and
Peace, man.
I'm Reto Gargamel. Today it's time for the Q&A, questions and answers, and I guess we might as well get into
Is that the only thing we have today?
Is it the
Q&A?
only thing we have? Actually, we'll probably just do some announcements.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
later on about various stuff that's going on, but otherwise, yep. Oh, actually, before we start, I have this thing here, which I have it running as a slideshow. There's these guys on Reddit. I will find their names and give them a proper shout out later, who have been making these educational posters based on propaganda from World War II. So I guess I'm going to just slow it down. So you have various US and Soviet posters that have been repurposed to give advice to new players. So that one is nice.
Yeah.
Use your environment. This one, tanks support infantry, infantry supports tanks. Win the war together for Mother Russia. It's awesome. And yeah, keep him shooting. Spot enemy tanks so our boys can take them out. That's also not bad at all. Spot enemies so planes can bomb them. That's also fairly useful. And the battle-wise infantryman fights for the objective, not the kill count. That's, I think, a crucial lesson to learn.
Yeah.
So these are the work of some enthusiastic Redditors. I think I have the original. It's a post on Reddit here in the Heroes and Generals Reddit section, and I think the guy who posted this originally is Aaron ZVZ or ZVZ, and I don't know if he made all of them or if he got some help from other people. But anyway, it's on Reddit if you want to go and check it out. I'm gonna let this run actually in the background. So should we get into the questions?
Yeah.
So these are questions that we've been collecting on our forum as usual. So we try to do it every time there's a new update to the game. We try to collect some questions from the players on a special forum thread that we open for that purpose. So I'll start with I think this isn't this?
Which is one is number one?
I think this is number one. This one from Lead Coffin. Why does a level 2 motorized infantry assault team cost more to fully resupply than a level 3 mechanized infantry assault team? This is counterintuitive, that the better gear costs less to use than the lower tiered gear. So why is that?
I think the example he's using is the mechanized infantry.
Yeah, versus the motorized
infantry. It's not that the better gear is cheaper, unless there's an error there. It's the same thing with the heavy tanks are actually cheaper to resupply than the medium tanks, and it's simply because there are fewer resources. So
you get less vehicles.
You get so many fewer.
So yeah, but well.
Yeah, you get so few resources that the combined cost is actually still less than more cheaper resources for the other assault teams. So they are more expensive, but you just get so few of them that the combined price is actually lower
because they're heavier. They're heavier vehicles, right? That's why
it's just more expensive vehicles. It's just like
right.
A heavy tank is more expensive than a medium tank. But if you only get one and you get 10 of the others, then it's still a more expensive resupply.
Right.
Like 10 vehicles at 10 gold or 10 credits would be 100. And one at 20 would still just be 20, so that would still seem cheaper.
So the answer is that it's not the same amount of half tracks that you get into mechanized AT.
You don't get in the mechanized. You don't get that many half tracks because they're very powerful, especially if you know how to use them.
Right.
So you don't get that many, and that's actually why it's cheaper to resupply the mechanized.
So in the motorized infantry assault team, you get more trucks.
Yeah.
And the same amount of men, really, right? I think.
No,
or something like that.
I can't really remember, but I think
it is
slightly different.
Or maybe slightly. So I guess that pretty much answers the question. Next question is from Viterian. If the T-38 is going to be amphibious, because apparently we said that at some point, that the starter Soviet tank is amphibious. Well, it has the propeller already in the back. Will there be amphibious tanks for Germany and the US too?
Amphibious tanks, well, I haven't really been able to find any true amphibious tanks, and maybe you guys know if they actually had amphibious tanks as German tanks or American tanks. We've seen a lot of these D-Day type. You put something around.
Right. I'm gonna try and find one.
Yeah, we're not gonna put tanks like that in the game
because they're quite ugly, actually.
Yeah, they didn't really work anyway. It's like they like has
what did they call
too
it?
few waves, and then just like they sank and stuff. So they weren't really effective.
Not that, but actually, that thing, right?
Yeah.
Which
is. I think that stuff is not gonna happen.
Honestly, I'd be embarrassed driving around that thing.
Yeah. But
and also those kind of exhaust.
Yeah.
Pipes, the snorkels. Yeah.
But I say that once we have the amphibious code running, so we can have an amphibious tank, we can start adding other amphibious vehicles, obviously. And I'm pretty sure that you guys know that there's a lot of different amphibious vehicles to pick from. So it's going to be one of those things where we add stuff to the different factions that were actually different.
And I guess that answers the question. Next question is from someone called Poface. Why are there no new skins for the M2 carbine, the Thompson, and and those two on the US faction?
No new skins. Well, the skins for both for the uniforms and for the weapons, we add them as we go along, and in no particular order actually. So they might come in the next build. Who knows?
Next question is from Johan Prien. What happened to the map that was seen in the alpha video log number 3? And he says, I know that the video is old, but from the alpha, right? So it's from it's 4 or 5 years ago.
We actually dug it out and tried looking at it, and it's one of those really, really early, you could almost say like a placeholder type map that was not wasn't connected to any terrain, or it was just like a test map that it's probably in there somewhere in our repository, but it probably won't load if we try to load it because it's so old. So you can better off just thinking of it as being deleted. It's not there anymore.
Anyway, it didn't look. It was just there was no textures. There was just basically it was just the outlines of buildings and
grey buildings with no textures.
I think so. The guy likes the idea of a city battle.
Yeah, and it's probably also one of those maps where there's so little, so you just imagine stuff, you project your wishes onto it, and obviously city maps would be nice for us to add, and they will be added at some point.
But not that one necessarily.
Not that one. I think a new one that might look similar to it.
I think I heard you mention that it wasn't. It didn't pass the play test, right? It didn't. It wasn't.
I don't even think we had it play test. It was just a test. It was just some testing that was just been done.
It wasn't. It wasn't up to the requirements.
We just chose to work on something else.
Okay. So
like it's one of those things where at the time we did it, there was no. There wasn't any room for tanks and planes in that map, so it would be kind of an odd map. I think we had a few runs on it where we just internally where we just spawned snipers and had a little go with a sniper challenge type thing, which was pretty fun.
So next question would be from Deathman 271.
Deathman.
Deathman is nice. What's his superpower? Kill people.
No, I die a lot.
I die a lot. And also apparently other people have asked the same question. So JLH4AC, I think it's a code, and Matt6767 are basically collectively asking, will there be customization to helmets and headgear, for example? And then there's basically it's a wish list, changing the US standard helmet with the one with the netting on top like this here.
Yeah.
Or adding the ability to have a camouflage on the netting. Will it be? And then of course they're asking, what are your thoughts on adding female soldiers to the Soviets?
That's a lot of questions in all in one. So, female soldiers to the Soviets, and then was
the last one is actually, will you include will you include restrictions to prevent silly uniform combinations, or clipping issues where you have stuff that doesn't quite fit together?
First of all, yes, we are looking into right now actually to start adding physically different objects to the instead of just changing the pattern on the uniform. So actually change hats, and I think maybe the hats are where we will start off. We've also been looking into different bags and magazine pouches and all that stuff, but that's a bit more complicated because that goes with the belt strappings and everything. So that's kind of like a more complicated setup. So we might just start out with having different hats and helmets, and obviously there's no limit on how much we can add there. We might also just split up the trousers and the jackets to allow for a bit more combinations. And in that sense, I don't think we will put any restrictions in the combinations on jacket versus trousers for the same type of uniform. If we start to add different uniforms, like what can you say, like something that is completely different from each other, then we might put in some restrictions, but purely because the meshes don't really fit. So we might have to do some linking up of the meshes that we haven't really decided that it's quite it can get very complicated. So we'll stick to the full uniform changes for now, and maybe like hats and stuff, and then the actual, you can say, the cloth texture of the uniforms. Yes, that was 2 out of 3. And then there was
female soldiers.
Female soldiers
keeps popping up.
Yeah, it's definitely on at least on my list of wish list for especially for the Soviets had a lot of female soldiers in the war. So yes, I think that would be nice to get into the game. Obviously, you won't be able to change from your male soldier to a female soldier. You will have to have a female soldier. We won't have any sex change stuff going on in there.
So I guess that's it. Next one is from Afonso QQ. I guess QQ as in makes people cry. That's the QQ. Never seen that.
Nope.
That's actually a kind of smiley for eyes crying.
Okay.
So people use that like the QQ, and they write QQ more as in cry more. Anyway, I think that's what it means.
You are just
my apologies.
So you emo, you.
All my friends are emo. And so you're asking still about uniforms. We will get officer uniforms for the higher ranks.
Maybe if we can find some cool combat uniforms for officers and not like an parade style uniform, that would be weird, I think.
Like with the gold stripes
that be, but I haven't really seen many officers' uniforms that were worn into battle. I think they just wore the same as everybody else because it was just more practical. But I could be wrong here. Uniforms is something that was like a ton of uniforms produced, and obviously, when you're in battle, you just take whatever you have. So it's not so restricted as people might think. But the parade style uniforms I'm not really think. I don't really think.
I think it's dry cleaning only. Also, right? It's expensive. So next one from Herman 6. Are you considering adding the PPS 43?
What is the PPS 43?
I don't know. He's just making up numbers and letters. PPS 43.
Yeah.
It sounds like some kind of submachine gun.
Yeah. I think it's probably way too powerful, so we won't add it. I think
never.
No, we don't like the Soviets, so we won't add it.
No. Next question is from Matt6767. What are your thoughts on the Goliath tracked mine?
That is awesome.
Yes. I should show it.
It's yeah.
Let's show it because it's
I know
quite funny also.
Ville,
well, funny.
Herr Ville have been talking a lot about adding it, so I would expect it to suddenly just appear in the game. He's been known to just put stuff in that he really likes.
There you go. I'm just gonna try and find a large picture if I can. Stool size large. There we go.
Yeah. It's used for all sorts of things, blowing up tanks.
So those are captured, right? Because that was a German mine, wasn't it?
That was like remote controlled, used for blowing up tanks and clearing minefields and stuff like that. So it's to add it to the game. I think we need to figure out where it would make sense to have it.
Because they used it, so you said for clearing minefields and for what, blowing up bunkers?
I'm not sure about the bunker stuff because it's but it basically is a remote control bomb. You can drive it into whatever and just blow it up.
So the question with that is, how do you drive it?
Yeah. How does it work in the game?
How does it work in the game? Right.
Can you shoot it, for example? What's needed to take it out? Is it a little mini tank that you have to shoot it with a bazooka or something, or how does it fit into the game? But I definitely think it's a cool thing to have in the game.
Did they make a lot of those?
I think they made quite a lot of them. Yeah.
Oh. Yes, I guess that would be interesting to have. Next one is a question from African Dave. If you could be any type of animal, what would you be?
There's one guy here. Sorry, there's Shinmask is asking.
Nope.
Like, he has a follow-up question to the Goliath.
Where
he just asked if you could have like these anti-tank dogs the Russians were apparently sporting. They're a bit harder to animate than the tanks. We already have the track stuff. So
that was nasty. Also, So if you could be any type of animal, what would you be?
Any type of animal?
Yeah, that's the question.
What type of animal would you be?
I would not be an anti-tank dog.
I would probably be a monkey, because monkeys are cool.
Panther.
Panther. Tiger.
Yeah. I guess.
Or maybe I would be a firefly. Huh?
Yeah.
Get on with it.
It's a bright idea. All right. From Xeator. When will surviving resources be refunded to their assault teams? And he's talking about the resources that survived the action game, because he says basically a spawn shouldn't automatically mean a loss.
No, it's something. It's being looked into. I think it's more like it's supposed to be fixed, but it's a little bit more complicated than it sounds, because every time you deploy, a result is sent to the server. As now you have these many resources left, and it's in the server calculation that you have to sort of like add stuff to the server after the war. So it's a bit complicated, but it is being looked at, because it is annoying that you always one off, you can say. Yeah.
Next question is from General Unteroberst. Unless you... sorry. So next question is from Kyrie626. He says, it's a long one. Actually, I have a section, it's marked preamble. He says the Warfund income from the strategy game is, for some factions like the Soviet Union, insufficient to keep assault teams deployed.
Yeah.
And he says the economy is based on kill-death ratios.
And they lose more resources.
And they lose more resources, exactly.
They are constantly being punished in that way. Yeah, I think...
so the question, would you be able to review the numbers and adjust the strategy game's economy to allow generals to create battles using war funds? So basically that the Soviets would be able to start more battles, I guess, without running out of war funds.
I've been looking into adjusting the cost of the individual resources, and I was thinking of reducing the cost of Soviet resources. The only thing that you need to take into account for doing this, obviously this would be good for the Soviets, they would get cheaper resources. it would be bad for the Germans and for the US because, but only when they actually kill Soviet resources, because they would earn less for killing Soviets. So it would probably be Germany and US would try and fight each other instead, because that's more value in those battles than in the battles with the Russians. But I think we should run an experiment with that, where just mark down the prices on the Soviet resources, see how it goes.
All right. Next question is from General Unteroberst, saying he's talking about in-game reporting. Is there going to be any kind of improvement, any kind of new system? Because basically right now in-game there is no report function. You can't just grab somebody's name and say I want to report this guy.
We
so you're saying are you going to implement that?
Yeah, we have a point on our backlog list that needs to be addressed. That's called the anti-toxicity measures that we are trying to do, and obviously reporting is one of those. It's something that we are aware of that we should add.
It's also a bigger question of like, if you give the option to report in game, what happens after, right?
Yeah,
it's like what do we do with the reports? Because right now people have to go to the help desk and send in a report as a ticket.
It's up for us to decide what to do with the reports. But it would make sense that we could see that one particular player gets a lot of reports. We can look into it. Problem with these things is they're also prone for griefing, so people can start to abuse them against each other and start to report people who haven't actually done anything, and it would put a lot of work on us to verify that they would not do
that spam is spam and a legit report is legit. So there's always going to have to be somebody who kind of at the other end kind of makes a decision, because if we make it if you have an automated is what I meant system. If it's entirely automated, you can always abuse it.
Yeah.
So
if it can be abused, it will be abused. That's at least our experience.
Yeah. No. So I guess it's more complicated than just putting the button in there. We have to figure out what happens when you click the button. So, but I understand that, like for players, it's more interesting to have something where you can, while you're in the game, without having to stop and think about it, you just go like, this guy, I don't like what he's doing. I'm reporting him right now. I don't have to remember his name later. So that's kind of taken care of right away.
I think the Dota have a pretty good system, I think, but they also they have a lot more manpower than we have.
Yeah. So next question is from Bush Elito. Will you make the music slider in the settings menu, will you make it work? Because right now it does nothing. So if you in-game...
I think it's wasn't it ask Splixen about that? And I think it sits somewhere in our bug system that is a bug that needs to be fixed. And I guess it's one of those bugs that people think is not breaking anything, so it can wait till later. But it's weird to have a slider that doesn't do anything. We should add some more,
just more music.
No, just sliders that doesn't do anything.
More sliders, yeah.
Buttons.
Awesomeness.
Button that does random stuff.
Yeah.
Do you dare push it?
That would be nice though, actually. Randomized soldier. Next question is from Shinma, who's asking, have you ever considered a headshot the developers in-game event where specially designated accounts would be given a token gold reward?
If we can restrict it to Splixen, that would be nice. Because otherwise I wouldn't be able to play the game at all. Because I would just be hunted all the time. But I think it's an idea that has been aired before by some of from the community, or one of the Twitchers or something that said something about this. I think it's a fun idea, but it might be strange for us to play then, because we would just be constantly killed. Maybe even people would try to team kill us all the time.
Then they wouldn't get the gold. No, so. But next one would be question from Lead Coffin. What controls, and that I get asked a lot, what controls the retreat pathfinding of an assault team when they lose a battle on the strategy game? When they have multiple valid options that they can take to retreat.
Yeah.
So because I have people asking me that why does my assault team retreat in a direction that is like everybody else is retreating that way, they're retreating this way, and this is not the way they came, but that's right.
I don't know. You should ask the program who did that.
No, but it is random.
Is it?
Yeah. Apparently, that's the.
I wasn't sure if it was random. I'm pretty sure it was random.
Oh, we wrote that we had to ask him. Yeah, but we didn't. But it is random. So, but we might actually check why it is random.
No, but
and see if it has to be random. Maybe it could be not random.
It's very hard to make a good decision on where to retreat to if you have multiple options. So I think random is the better option, because otherwise it would be a way too complicated algorithm, and you would be prone for people saying, I didn't want to retreat to this, I want to retreat here instead, or this would be better, or whatever. It would be very time consuming and have very little effect. If you're retreating, and that's it. And your men are probably in panic and
that's the other thing I'm thinking. Like, if you want to simulate retreat, I mean, it's already fantastic that your unit still appears as a unit on the map after it's retreated. Because I mean, so next one is from how do you pronounce that? Sleeked Shadow, or Sleek T Shadow. Can war production be based on the number of airfields, the number of towns and factories that you own, instead of just generic values?
Sorry, say again.
It says, can war production be based on the number of airfields, towns and factories that you own, instead of generic base production values?
It would be one of those things where the balance would be tipped very quickly, I think. But yes, it is obviously the ultimate goal to have all the factories and villages play a role in the actual production. I think first of all we're gonna try and just change it so the resources are generated from the factories and the villages. And when you ask for reinforcements, it's for tanks, for example, they come from the nearest factory rather than from the nearest capital or major city. So that would be, I think, the first change, to sort of like decentralize the whole where do I get my resources from.
So like the troops would come out of villages and the vehicles would come out of factories.
We haven't made a final decision on this stuff yet, so it's more like just a direction of where we want to go with it.
But I can see what you mean. So the danger is that if when you start winning the war, you're also taking production away from your enemy, so that basically they just lose faster.
Yeah, I would think that if you just limit it to limiting them where they can get their tanks from, so then it's more like a time issue, that you take out all the factories around a city before attacking it, and then if they want to get resupplies, they would have to get it from further away.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, I guess you could also just have different winning conditions, probably to kind of like more generous winning conditions, but yeah, so that's still being designed. So next question is from German Cross. Will there be some camouflage for tanks in the future?
What?
Yeah, tanks.
Let's just say again.
Will there be some camouflage for tanks in the future?
No, we actually decided that the tanks do not need camouflage. So
why would anybody want that?
Yeah, why would anybody want that? So no.
Next question is from Ensolo. Will you add that we get experience if someone decides to spawn in our half track?
Yeah.
Cool. Jeff Shoots Stuff is asking.
I actually forgot my notes because I was in. We have a few more things we will add to the XP gaining, but half tracks is one of them.
Because you're without saying anything specific, you're working on kind of making closer team play.
Yeah.
mechanics, right?
Yeah.
So then from Jeff Shoots Stuff, is anything going to be done to resolve the German overpopulation and the Soviet underpopulation? And what about the extremely long assault team deploy queues for the Germans?
Yes, we are working on some measures to even out the battlefields. That would be both underdog bonuses, and we're also looking into something that we currently call the reserve force, which is a feature that will make sure that we can increase the production rate, so the Germans will be able to deploy more units, and the Soviets will be able to, if there are not as many Soviet generals, they could use extra assault teams or resources in order to try and at least balance out the number of resources on the battlefield. The underdog bonus is supposed to be both advancing players faster, so they can deploy more assault teams, and also to give an incentive to join the underdog factions in order to even out the players in the actual battles, because there's both the imbalance issue in the war, but there's also an imbalance issue in if there's not enough players to fill up the battles. So it's a rather complex problem that we are looking into.
So yep, that's for that. And from Marv 2.0, we have a question about merchandise, because we've been teasing some merchandise there. When can we buy merchandise, and will you integrate merchandise into the in-game shop so that we could just, for example, buy those articles through the game from using premium currency? What's premium?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, the merchandise you have, that is strictly Splixen's turf. That's his stuff. So I cannot give you any merchandise. That's his to give away to people that he finds nice. So I could only say that if you have to be nice to Splixen.
He's gonna hate you.
Then he might give you some merchandise, and he might not. But you have to find out what makes him happy, and I don't know. He's always mad when I talk to him, so it's very difficult.
But merchandise is, I think, also a question of having somebody devote a lot of time to.
No, you can just connect to some web store or something. I think it's pretty easy.
No, but we need to have somebody who spends time working on that. I think that's the main thing, is that we have other.
I think it's more like we would like to have some here that we give away ourselves, and then. But I think the other thing is I would bet that there's a ton of web stores that does this kind of service for everybody, for games or whatever it is. So you, like, there's a company, you go in and say, I want to have these and these things produced, and you can buy them through our web shop. So
it's a matter of somebody actually going in.
But
doing that,
they have to pass dictator Splixen.
It's all his fault.
The supreme ruler of resources.
So, I guess that's the answer. Matt6767 is asking, instead of, because apparently I think we have answered the question about will we have voice over IP. The answer is. Last time was no. Last time we checked. But now we actually started looking into integrating some of the what is called a TeamSpeak, or maybe looking into some of the others. But we are actually started revisiting this decision of voice. Okay, because his question was, instead of voice over IP, have you thought about voice commands for communication between players?
Those as well. And we might add those as well when we add the commands. So, but some of the examples is like it's going to be very restricted, because it's you don't want to have a game where everybody shouts commands in left and right.
Follow me.
Follow me, and everybody says follow me. No, I follow you. Oh, no, follow me. No, follow me. So, has to be very limited.
Right. Next question from actually. I don't even have the answer to that one. Check that out later. Next one, sorry, from Findu. What do you think about having different second spawn areas? Okay, let me rephrase that. What do you think about having different second spawn areas for attackers and defenders on the objectives? So
that also sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, but maybe I should just like, because it's not immediately like super clear what this means. It's like,
okay, but
I'm defending, say, the town map.
Yeah.
I have the police station. I'm the defender. If you take it from me and you're coming from, let's say, the D line, you're coming from the stone bridge, you take police station from me, I will be spawning when I defend the police station at the emergency spawns while the police station is being contested.
Yeah.
So I'll be on the docks. I'll be climbing from around there. But if it's the other way around and you have the police station and I take it back from you, and you will be also appearing from that side, which is kind of past.
Yeah, it's on the other side.
Actually, it's even more obvious in the forward airfield map, right? When you have 01, you have the stone bridge.
Yeah.
And if you're kind of kicked out of there and you're the attacker, you're getting into the town.
Yeah.
You lose the stone bridge. You spawn at that house that's beyond the stone bridge.
Exactly,
It's even deeper into
that
town.
is,
So that's the. I guess that's the meaning of the question.
We discussed it because we actually right now we're discussing some new spawn rules, spawn areas and stuff in order to address the spawn camping, and also to make the rules a bit more simple. And in that talk, we have been discussing the dynamic spawn areas, and it obviously lead into the discussion of attackers versus defenders on different spawn areas for attackers and defenders. It's a bit more complicated for the assault maps because you have to define a lot of spawn areas. It's like double up for each point. In contrast to what we have now. So it's definitely something that we want to try and work on. First of all, we are looking into the actual spawn area, spawn rules, and making some adjustments to that. But that would be it's combined with the you're going out of the battle zone mechanic as well, so you can't go into the enemy's spawn area
and just sit there and wait.
Yeah, and I just saw the guys just working now on the mechanics of when you actually become active in the game. Where right now you just spawn somewhere and then after some time you become visible. We're playing around with the idea now that when you're in the spawn area, you are invisible and you can't shoot or anything. You're just invisible and you are obviously also invincible. And once you either walk out of the zone or you shoot somebody, you become part of the battle. You enter the combat zone or the combat. That would make it very hard for people to spawn camp, because if somebody's shooting into the zone, he have to be lucky first of all that he hits somebody once they become visible. If they start to shell you with a grenade, you can just walk over to another place and just exit the zone from there. And you can actually see the guy if he's close to, and you can take a very good aim and just shoot him, because you will not be active until you actually either shoot or walk out of the zone.
So if you're lurking around the spawn area, you'd be basically you'd be getting shot at by ghosts.
Yeah, you would probably
basically.
Because they would have the advantage of not exposing themselves before they actually fire the first shot. So we hope some of these mechanics will help for all the spawn camping nastiness. But it has to be something that works together well. We really don't want to have this like the powerful dome that just zips away. You shoot into the area and your shot just disappears. It should be allowed to actually try and shoot a high explosive into the area, because you still have to make sure that people don't run out and in again. Once they're in the game, they're in the game, and they should be allowed to go into the zone. But once they are sort of like in the action, they can be shot, obviously. So you will be able to have battle there. Obviously, right now it's also set up so that the enemies can't enter the area, so you can't drive in there with your tank or with your soldier, which would also be stupid, because you get really close to guys who can instantly kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I think tankers are.
But we have talked about the thing is in the assault as well, that there's a specific attacker defender type spawn zone that's triggered, but it's just a bit more work than just fixing the spawn zones on the skirmish maps and near the assault the access points.
I guess that
Are you taking chat questions?
pretty much covers them. But we're not even done with the. Well, we got a few more. Where was I? Question from Tornada, who's saying, have you ever considered that grenade spam could become a problem? Everyone is spamming grenades in every battle, and instead of using regular weapons, do you have any solution for that? Would you consider reducing the amount of grenades, for example?
The official answer is we're looking into it. Stone face.
And that's it.
No, but we are actually looking into some metrics and see if it is a problem, because the reducing of the grenades is probably not going to have such a huge effect when you can actually have the you can take on a combat badge that gives you more grenades and stuff like that. So it's
I like grenades.
Yeah, it's
I like grenades. It's fun.
I'm tempted to say I'm just going to raise the prices on the grenades. But we are looking into it, and if it is something we can see it is a problem, obviously we'll do something about it. Usually we take our time by investigating into problems before we act on them, because otherwise we might make too many changes that are just irrelevant. We have done that before in the past, so we need to prove to ourselves that it's a problem before we start looking into it. Same goes for all the constant criticisms on unbalanced weapons, and this is OP and this is not OP. We have our metrics, we look into our data, and we balance it using the data, obviously. And there has been some we just introduced the ABS.
Yeah, that's a question, actually.
Yeah.
You wanna take it now?
Yeah.
So that's from Uki Wookie. He says, why not make the heavy, heavy D-ball ammo for the AVS 36? Why not make it do 50 points of damage? That's a very specific question. But he says basically right now that ammunition is useless. It doesn't provide that much damage compared.
We're still looking into the AVS, how it performs. It takes a while to get the data spread out. It has to be both old players and new players and stuff like that. So we can't just say, oh, it's run for 2 days. Let's adjust it. But we need to figure out. We need to see the numbers on how it performs against the other weapons before we do anything with it.
Because the thing with weapon stats, right, is that you have weapons. You can't just look at the absolute kill-death ratio of just the weapon, because it's
a very. I think I've already seen that there's some of in the forums that say, "Oh, you should just start looking at your stats," and it's like it's not that simple. Stats are very complicated. There's a lot of factors that actually comes into play here, both the individual skill of a player. And the weapons, obviously the weapons base strength, how he modifies the weapon, and there's also you could say did I say the skill of the player? Yes, and also who he plays against, and the playing style of the player. So it's not an easy thing to.
Actually, we have somebody doing stats full time.
Yeah,
the players say show us the stats, but it's like if we show you the stats, it's like it's not even clear that you can interpret the stats and make them say something, because we have somebody with a PhD looking at the stats. Crazy Cat is she's a biologist who's done studies on animal populations in the wild and compiled lots of data, and she's doing basically epidemiological studies on really nerdy stuff. So she's looking at the player population, how they're using the weapons and stuff, and it's insanely nerdy math, and like when you look at that, just saying like the kill death ratio, that's not even scratching the surface. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is like we'd love to show you stuff, but we're afraid that it's gonna not be taken the right way. Also
the same thing when we go to Crazy Cat to ask for stats, is like you have to ask the right question.
Yeah,
it's not enough to just go, oh, this is unbalance or rebalance it. Just no.
Is this OP?
Yeah,
It's like the question.
ask the right question, and that's sometimes it's really hard to ask the right question to get the right numbers that you can actually use for something. So it would also be strange if we had a company here where we collect so much data and we don't use it. No, obviously we use a lot of the data that we collect. It's just from the player's perspective, it seems like a simple thing to fix or to look at. For the players, it's just two numbers, but behind there's so many factors that comes into play that it's not a simple question to just a simple thing to just fix it or look at the numbers.
And
hope that answered the question.
Yep, I think.
But we are different ABS guys. We're looking into it.
Yeah.
If it's good enough, it's good enough. If it's not, it's gonna get either buffed or nerfed. And the question was actually regarding to the ammunition.
Yeah,
and
is
we
the
just
ammo
made
really?
the decision that the it's because it's been held up against the carbine and the STG, which have their own unique ammunition. They use the carbine used the carbine ammunition, and the STG used the Kurz ammunition. And the ABS actually it uses the same ammunition as any other Russian rifle. So we just made the decision that obviously it should be able to use all the different ammunitions, and some of them might not make a lot of sense. So we cannot change if you start to tweak the ammunition. It will affect all the Russian weapons that uses the same ammunition.
That's something you changed, right?
Yeah, we need to adjust the gun.
What was it? It wasn't the Timoshenko update or something around there that you rebuilt the ammo system so that every ammo is the same, has the same values.
It was a maneuver to simplify the whole system because before that build there was a special ammunition for every gun, which was a nightmare to adjust all these things. So we simplified it. There was a few builds where it looked like not a lot was happening, but behind the scene we were doing a lot of restructuring the whole system in order to be able to do this. Obviously, one thing that we could do with the ABS, instead of adjusting the gun, we could add some special mods that would only work for the ABS. For example, a barrel with a suppressor that would maybe reduce the range a bit, but also reduce the recoil and something. So we have the possibilities of actually adding cool little things that you could for each specific weapon. So, or we might just simply tweak the numbers on the actual gun.
But to answer the question, the specific ammo, you can't make a specific type of ammo more powerful if you put it in this gun, because that's not how you want it to work, right?
Technically, I could, but it would seem strange that from the player's perspective that this type of ammo fits this gun, but for some magical reason it doesn't fit this gun, even though it's the same caliber and cartridge size. So I like to keep this in order.
Right.
I think the only place where we have the German ammunition that is a bit strange. We have the ammo for the Panzer I for the machine guns. There's an ammo type there that doesn't go with any of the other weapons, and that's simply just it's actually identical to one of the others, and it's simply because the machine guns on the tanks need so much more ammo. It's 5,000 shots or something than a rifle. So adding a box of 5,000 rounds for your Gewehr 346, that might be a bit over the top. So that's simply just a matter of the sizing, and I think that will be fixed at some point as well. So the same ammunition will be used in the normal rifles. Right now, the numbers are just, we don't have they're not sort of like put separately somewhere. They're baked into the data structure of the bullets, which is not optimal.
I guess there was another question from Nitsura, and basically it's a question about stats, so I'm going to make it short. He said at the end of each war you get the information on each faction with the number of battles won, how much war funds they spent, and etc. He said I would like to see some more numbers. How about taking all the players from each faction and showing their average kill deaths, their average captures? So you would have.
I would love that too.
The average American, the average German would have.
There's one thing that about the actual war. It's very heavy. First of all, it's very, very heavy to actually process that amount of data. it would probably like close down the server for half an hour in order to collect all the data and present those few numbers on the screen. So it has to be done in some other way, and we simply just don't have the code to do that right now. That's also why I could wish for a bit more detailed end of war window with some more numbers and some graphs and some cool stuff, but we simply don't have the structure of the backend doesn't allow us to do that right now. Something that we're working on, getting to that. I think we talked about that before, that we had to rewrite the whole stats DB, like the database that handles all our statistics, in order to make it a lot faster. And I think that is almost complete now, that task, and that opens up for a much better leaderboard, for example, and a lot more stuff like this. So it is coming at some point. It's just like it's a very complicated thing to rewrite some of the database code for a game that's actually running and is live. That's just not an easy task. Yep. So, but it is something that we're working towards. I think the leaderboards is going to be the testing of the new system.
So a new leaderboard.
New leaderboards
is coming
at some point. Yeah.
At some point.
When the stat DB is done.
I will because we only have a few minutes left. I will do. We were supposed to do a shout out last time, and I completely forgot. So we've used the search bar up there on Twitch TV. You can look for some of our faithful Twitchers. We got new names, new Danish Twitchers actually. There's a guy called Slow CSS.
I haven't seen him yet. There's
a guy called.
And actually, I do actually check out those Twitchers once in a while, and I know Splixen does it as well. And if I'm if you see me in the chat when I'm checking out some of the Twitch, I use it just to get some feedback on how the game plays and stuff. It's great to watch. But don't be afraid to just ask me anything there. It's fine. If I have the time, I'll answer. If I don't, I just say I'm doing something else. So fine.
It's true. I've seen you. You were watching them where you kind of have one screen where you work and the other one where you watch people play. That's so he is watching you. So yeah, I just want to not forget the other two guys. So there's another guy called Fisken.
Fisken.
With
He's Danish,
with
right?
his set, yeah, and I think they're all Danish. These three, and the other one is TPD Deco. So yeah, TPDDK, TPD Deco. And we salute you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and check out those guys. I haven't seen them yet, so.
And what else can I say? There's still a screenshot contest going on Steam. Do we have time to show the page, which is Battle Vision?
There's one guy here in the Twitch chat that says, "Lol, ask Red Bjarne why he only answers the question he wants to." I'm not going to answer a question I cannot answer. That would be stupid. But we would definitely try to answer as many questions as we actually can, and some of them are weird and some of them are difficult to answer. So, yeah, if we can't answer them, we won't answer them. That's it. But his name is in the Twitch is When Is Panther Coming Out?
I'm sure that's the guy who was called When Is STG Coming Out?
Okay, so he's actually
he's
now waiting for the Panther.
Yeah.
Still, I can say that I think the Germans are pretty powerful as they are.
They have all they need.
They have all they need for now. We are looking into some other stuff, but Panther. I can think of a few other things I'd like to add before that.
Woo. So I guess unless I forgot something horrible. Well, it's always also worth mentioning that there is, if you go and edit our wiki on Gamepedia, there actually you can get Gamepedia achievements for updating the wiki. That's coming.
One thing I need to say about the weapons and vehicles stuff. It's great that you guys have put in suggestions on the forum for this tank could be cool and this could be put to counter this and this. I do check them out, and I think I find them very useful. As long as you don't start to like spam each other with like, oh, this is cool and this no, like all this stuff. Be relax, guys. I am looking at it. It's great that you do it, but keep keep the tone sober.
Yeah, because if you tell the other guy's an idiot, that doesn't convince us that
No, it's just
his idea is not good.
It's some of the threads are very long. So and just having to plow through endless. My dick is bigger than yours. Comments is just waste of fucking time.
He said it. So, but we're looking at the forums. See proof.
There are some posts in there that come up with some really great research, and they're very passionate about it, and I find that very useful, and it is something that we base our choices on when we select what vehicles and weapons and uniforms and stuff that goes into the game.
So
there you have it.
There you have it. I guess we'll say thank you for watching and thank you for playing. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend.
See you next week.